Speaker.
Derek Ball.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to rise on behalf of New Zealand First to speak on the third reading of the Child Protection Child Sex Offender Government Agency Registration Bill. I'll be addressing a few points, sir, of the bill. We will be supporting this bill, sir. I'll be addressing some of the points that we do agree with, and I think mainly, and it's been said previously from previous speakers, that New Zealand First would like this register to have become public and publicly available to parents and to communities in order for them to be able to protect their children. Before I do that, sir, I'd just like to highlight something that I did highlight in the second reading and through the committee stage as well, and it's actually in the departmental report, and it's about all of this research and about the evidence that we've been hearing that a public register doesn't work, or in some instances we've got members saying that a register itself doesn't work. And I'd just like to read this, sir. It says that there is a wide range of research available against the effectiveness of sex offender registers. However, most of the evidence that is available comes from the United States, which is not a jurisdiction that is fully compatible with New Zealand. There is little evidence available that pertains specifically to child sex offender registers in like jurisdictions. And they're talking about like jurisdictions being New Zealand, sir, because we are quite unique in the way that we run our jurisdiction compared to other jurisdictions that run child sex offender register, whether they be private or whether they be public, sir. And I can't stress that enough, because there are multiple members through, even after I mentioned this in the second reading, there are members from the Labour Party and National and the Greens standing up and directly quoting research and evidence from the United States about how ineffective it is for a public register. But it's right here in the departmental report, sir. I would just like to have said that first. Secondly, sir, a number of the Labour members also talked about this being, not as important as rehabilitation and reintegration, and that may be true, sir, but this is not what this discussion is about. This is not what this register is about. This register is a monitoring tool that will be used in conjunction with a myriad of other tools that are being used. And if the Labour Party and the Greens want to concentrate on investing in and expanding the current rehabilitation and reintegration programs there are, then that's fine, but that is an absolutely, totally mutually exclusive issue to this register, sir, and what this register is intended for. The purpose has been mentioned about what this bill is about, or what the register is about, and when it boils down to it, sir, it is about protecting our children. It's about ensuring that our children are safe. And no matter which way you spin it, no matter which way you look at the register, it's about the information. It's not about how the information is collected or what the information is necessarily. It's about the information. The information is what keeps the children safe. At this stage, and in the way that this legislation is written, the officials are making those decisions based on the information in that register to keep our children safe. And what New Zealand First is saying is, why is it only the officials that have the access to the information to keep our children safe? Why can't parents have access to the information to keep our children safe? Because that's what it is. The rest of it that the Labour Party and that the Green Party are talking about the fact that it's a register, sir. What we're talking about is that it's information that the parents have the right to know to ensure that they make proper decisions about protection of their children. I, for one, would want to know if a child sex offender, a convicted child sex offender, was either living next door, living down the street, living next to one of my daughter or son's schools, or in our community. I would want to know. Not because I want to go down there and beat him up, not because I want to go down there and burn his house down, not because I want to hurl abuse at him, not because I want to name and shame. The only reason why I'd want that information and access to that information and know where they live is to protect my children. And I challenge anyone in this house to stand up and say anything different, because everyone in this house would want to know where their child sex offender registers, sex offenders are in their communities, not for any other reason but to protect their families and protect their children. Sir, I also mentioned in past readings that we had, and Afanara mentioned that we had 147 submissions, and 125 of those wanted this register to be public. They could see the need to have that information available to them to protect their children. But more than that, sir, we had a number of victims of child sex abuse give evidence. And every single one of them, bar none, wanted this register to be public. Because they knew what they went through, and if their parents had the information publicly available to them, they may have been protected. And they were firm on that, sir. We also had a number of convicted child sex offenders give evidence. And every single one of them, bar none, did not want to register. They did not want this register public. You know, too often, sir, we have comments from the public that politicians are out of touch with what the public wants and what the public needs. And here is demonstrable evidence that there is overwhelming support and need for a public register. And every single other party in this House, apart from New Zealand First, continues to be out of touch and ignoring them. This isn't about rehabilitation or reintegration. It's not about punishment, sir. It's not about naming and shaming. It's about listening to the public. It's about listening to the victims. And it's about ensuring that we put the protection of our children first. And the only way that can happen is if this is a public register. In regards to one of the other issues, there's a couple of issues about why it adds to the need for it to be a public register, sir. And one of them is that I'd just like to highlight that not every single convicted child sex offender will be on the register. Only those that have been given a prison sentence and a non-custodial sentence, but that is directed by the judge. So that means that the only offenders that are on this register are either high risk or they have committed a high level offence. And yet we've got parties in this House and members in this House who don't want even a register of those high level, high risk offenders who are living in our communities. In addition, sir, one of the great concerns that we have is the fact that the offenders themselves are the ones that have to update their own information. They're the ones that have to let the officials know where they are, where they're travelling, what children they're going to be associating with, if they are. And it's not until something happens, sir, it's not until something, in fact, it's not until something that the police or the officials need to react to before anything is done. And it states here in the actual bill itself, sir, that if the Commissioner of Police believes there to be an offender that posed a threat to life, welfare or sexual safety of a particular child or particular children, affected persons such as parents, guardians or teachers could be informed. But not until that child's safety has been put in danger does this monitoring tool or this register actually fulfil its purpose. Whereas if it was public, sir, the public would be the eyes and ears for those officials, and they would know who they were and what they were doing at all times. This register will not work if it remains the way that it is written in legislation, sir, which is restricted from the public. I'd just like to finally say, sir, that at the moment we hear the arguments against it being public because there's some sort of ideology that the rights of the offender for privacy or human rights of the offender come anywhere near the rights of the child. And what New Zealand First is saying is that if we are serious about this issue of child sex abuse, then we must put and make the child the centre of that conversation, sir. And the only way we can do that is if we make this one public, sir. Thank you.
I call Maureen Pugh.
Thank you.